Perfect. So greetings to Nene Kwasi Kafele. I do just want to ask you a few questions just based on your eldership and just your perspective on the role that elders play in our community. So just to dive right into things, can you share what you feel the characteristics of an eldership is?
Well, first of all, there's a difference between being an old person and being an elder.
Yes.
In the West African tradition, particularly the Akan tradition of Ghana or the Krobo tradition, which are the two ones that I know best, an elder provides wise instructions, support, helps to resolve disputes, provide context and history, to protect and preserve culture through the transmission of stories and values, and to be an example in terms of how he or she comports his or her life, a positive example for others, to provide mentoring to young people, and to be spiritually clean in terms of living a life of integrity and aligning with the ancestors as elders are on their way back to the ancestral world, to model behavior that would make our ancestors proud. So elders are part of the DNA of a healthy community, or I should say, effective elders are part of a DNA of a healthy community, a healthy village.
So I want to say, so you definitely stated why eldership is so important, or why elders are important, and what would you say the key difference between, like, what is an older? Like, you know, there are some people out here that think they're elders, but what's the difference between an older and an elder? Just 3 key differences.
An older is basically someone who has a chronological lifespan that is advanced. Typically, you know, someone in their 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and and older isn't necessarily one of exemplary character, or might be just a normal person going about their lives, but no real investment or connection to our responsibility for helping to nurture a community. And it might not be, you know, anything negative. It could simply be they're just not invested in that. Or the extreme of that is someone who's behaving immaturely or antisocially, and is absolutely not the example you want to set for others in your community, but they're older. And an elder is the opposite of all of that, you know, responsible, committed, exemplary behavior, you know, guidance, leadership, mentorship, grounded in spirit, protecting culture, etc. So eldership is more intentional and more organized. Now, some people, simply by virtue of their age, they get referred to as elders. Often in environments where organized eldership is not very strong or very clear. And so when young people come to expect certain things from them, they might be disappointed because they're not really elders in the traditional sense of the word. They're just olders. Right. So it depends. It depends.
So one thing that you said that stood out to me was investment. And just that, you know, an elder is invested in the evolution of the community. And when I think investment, I think energy. So you think like elders are invested in themselves and then their cup kind of runneth over and they share that investment outward. So that was a really great explanation. So I do have a question. What can community members do to honor our elders from your perspective?
First of all, I think our elders need to be more organized in terms of how they support and honor young people, how they provide the kind of protection and direction and advice and education that's necessary to build a nation that organized, focused, effective way of working. We don't do that very well. We're fairly scattered and individual in our efforts. So I think that's the first thing, is just being more organized, because traditionally you have to, so the life cycle in West Africa has eldership as the closest part of the cycle that leads back to the ancestral realm. So once you get to that stage, then material things are no longer so important. Peer activities with your friends are not so important. You're kind of focusing now on deep spirit in terms of what you can do to energize and support the spiritual upliftment of the community through your behavior. And the best ways to do that include honoring the ancestors, include building community infrastructure, include helping those who are less fortunate, include grounding culture and everything, all of those things. So the investment that an elder would make would be to make sure that young people have the capacity to do those things well, and that the older youth are beginning to be trained as elders in training almost. And most importantly, it's to understand the role of our ancestors. So you understand their contribution, you learn from their experiences and their mistakes, you build on what they have laid, the groundwork they have already laid, and you prepare to advance their work in some important and meaningful way. So that investment is, has many, many legs to it. It's investing in young people in terms of mentorship and support. It's investing in the community in terms of making sure you have strong institutions that sustain and protect our culture. And it's investing in knowledge in terms of them understanding and recognizing what we have done, where we have come from as a people, and acknowledging the importance of our ancestors in that process and that journey. So it's different. There are different types of investments.